Are you keeping pace? You will definitely want to watch to the end as you can compare your retirement savings to the national averages. Let's jump in. I recently received a call from a prospective client who expressed curiosity about her retirement savings compared to others in her age group. I do get a lot of these types of questions in my practice. Am I doing okay versus other people? She, being 60 years old, was keen to understand the average savings of individuals in a similar stage of life. Thankfully, a great deal of research from the Federal Reserve and Vanguard clarifies this. At the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of the average retirement savings of people in their late 50s and early 60s. Hopefully, it will help you evaluate your personal financial situation as you get closer to retirement and take the appropriate action to increase your savings if necessary. Now, if you're feeling unprepared for retirement, you are not alone. A recent study from the Federal Reserve found that only 41% of those over 60 feel confident about their savings for retirement. But before we talk about the specific numbers, let's understand two very important terms: mean and median. The mean, or average, is calculated by adding up all of the numbers in a group and then dividing by how many numbers there are. The median, on the other hand, is the middle number in a group of numbers when the numbers are lined up from smallest to largest. Understanding the difference between these two terms will help us make sense of the data from Vanguard and the Federal Reserve, which gives us insights into retirement savings for people in their late 50s and early 60s. Let's break this down with a simple example. Imagine we have 5 people saving for retirement, and we want to find out the average retirement savings based on their accounts. Here are the amounts that they've saved. The first person saved $10,000, the second person saved $100,000, the third person saved $250,000, the fourth person saved $500,000, and the fifth person saved $2 million. To find the average, or mean, we would simply add up all of these numbers and then divide by the total number of people, which in this case is 5. So when we add up 10,000, 100,000, 250,000, 500,000, and 2 million, we get 2.860 million, and then we divide that total by 5, we get 572,000. This means that on average, each of these 5 individuals has around 572,000 saved for retirement. In this particular example, one person had a much higher savings amount, which made the average look far larger than what most people actually had. This happens when there are big differences in the numbers. To get a better idea of what most people have saved, we can look at the median. The median is the middle value in a list of numbers. In this case, it's 250,000. This means that half of the people had savings below 250,000 and the other half had savings above 250,000. This is obviously a vastly different number than the average of 572,000. So while the average can be influenced by extreme values, the median gives us a more typical picture. It helps us understand what's normal for most people. Remember this point as we discuss the findings from the studies by Vanguard and the Federal Reserve. Now let's check out the most recent data, starting with Vanguard. According to their study, the average person in their late 50s to early 60s has about 208,000 saved in their 401k plan. You will also notice that the median is much lower at $71,168. Now, many articles out there and a lot of videos tend to solely focus on 401k savings. However, this only gives a partial view of people's retirement savings. Most people out there have money saved in other accounts like IRAs or Roth IRAs. If you want a more comprehensive perspective, like we do, we turn to the Federal Reserve's extensive data. Their research shows that the average retirement savings for someone in this age group is $537,000. So while the average 401k balance is around $208,000, the total average retirement savings, including other accounts, is $537,000. Whenever you come across data that only focuses on 401k accounts, it's important to remember that it's just part of the picture. This data is incomplete because most people have other retirement savings, like IRAs or Roth IRAs. While the numbers might seem large at first glance, it's critical to remember that they're just averages, which can be skewed by a few outlier large accounts. To get a clearer understanding, let's look at the median balances from both studies. The median is the middle value, meaning half of the people have less and half of the people have more. According to Vanguard, the median 401k balance for someone in their late 50s to early 60s is $71,168. Similarly, the Federal Reserve reports that the median retirement savings for this age group is $185,000. These median values provide a more balanced perspective on the typical savings situation for individuals in this age range. Now, you might be wondering, why is there such a big difference between the average and the median? Well, it's mainly because the average gets pushed up by a few people with extraordinarily large retirement savings. Some of you watching might have $50,000 saved, while others might have millions. These extremes skew the average to the upside. The median, on the other hand, gives a more realistic picture of what most people have saved. So if you're in your late 50s or early 60s and you have over $200,000 saved, you're actually doing better than half of the people your age. So why does everyone care? Now, you might be thinking, why does it matter so much what other people have saved? Well, it's not about comparing yourself to others, it's about figuring out how much you need for your own retirement. Let's talk about that next. You might be wondering how much you actually need to have saved by the time you're 60. One common rule of thumb is to have 8 times your annual income saved. For example, if you make $100,000 a year, that would mean saving $800,000 by the time you're 60. Now, when you hear that number, it may sound overwhelming, but I believe it actually overestimates how much you really need to retire. This rule assumes a few things, like a 5% rate of return during retirement, which I think is a bit conservative. Historically, well-optimized income portfolios have been able to achieve far better returns. Let's take a closer look at what you might actually need. The 8 times rule assumes that your expenses during retirement will be the same as when you were working, but for many people, that's not the case. In retirement, some expenses decrease or disappear altogether. For instance, by the time you retire, you might have paid off your mortgage or your children's college expenses altogether. Additionally, you won't need to budget for commuting costs, and you won't be contributing to retirement savings anymore since you're already retired. These reductions in expenses mean that you may not need to save as much as the rule suggests. It's important to consider your individual circumstances and adjust your retirement goals accordingly. What's more, the rule also assumes a constant withdrawal rate during retirement. However, as I've mentioned in my previous videos, retirement spending doesn't follow a straight line. It declines in general as you age. Initially, expenses tend to be a little bit higher as you fulfill your dreams and pursue activities you've really been looking forward to. Then, as you age, expenses typically decrease. This is how it should be, as it does get tougher to travel and do things as you get older. However, for some individuals, there might be an increase in long-term care costs later in retirement. Considering this, I prefer to estimate retirement expenses at around 75% of pre-retirement costs. For instance, if you were spending $100,000 annually before retirement, I'd estimate around $75,000 per year during retirement. This approach provides a more realistic target compared to simply aiming for 8 times your income. Now, if this starting point is too high or too low for your liking, you can, of course, adjust it up or down as you see fit. Now, let's break down these numbers step by step. Instead of assuming you need $100,000 a year, let's say it's $75,000 because your expenses will likely be lower in retirement. Then we subtract your Social Security benefits. If you earned $100,000 annually, your Social Security might be around $30,000 per year. You can get an idea of your Social Security benefits by using this calculator, link in the description below. Now let's consider any remaining shortfall. If you're married, your combined Social Security benefits could cover some of your expenses, assuming the minimum spousal benefit. This reduces the gap to about $30,000. So you only need to make up approximately $30,000 from your pension or your investments, not the originally estimated $75,000. This simplified approach gives a clearer picture of your retirement savings target. Now let's consider a 5% withdrawal rate. With a 5% withdrawal rate, which I believe is very reasonable, you'd need $30,000 divided by 5%, or $600,000 by age 60, instead of the previously suggested $800,000. Now, don't get me wrong, having $800,000 instead of $600,000 provides a cushion for unexpected expenses. But if you're single, you won't have the spousal benefit, so you might need to save a bit more to compensate. This adjusted target considers lower spending in retirement, Social Security benefits, and a more reasonable rate of return. Now let's consider a couple of different scenarios. If you currently earn $75,000 per year, traditional calculations might suggest that you would need around $600,000 in savings by age 60. However, a more realistic target might be closer to $375,000 or $400,000. Similarly, if you're earning $100,000 per year, conventional advice might recommend aiming for $800,000 in savings by age 60, but a more reasonable target could be around $600,000. This approach offers a more practical savings goal tailored to your individual circumstances. However, it's important to work through these numbers yourself and not make any sudden changes to your retirement plan based solely on online advice. Remember, personal financial planning should be done carefully and with professional guidance. I want to emphasize that I don't know your specific financial situation, so it's essential to work with a professional to assess your retirement needs accurately. However, what I really want to stress is that many online assumptions about retirement savings tend to overestimate the required amount. This is because they're often based on faulty assumptions, and it's generally safer to err on the side of caution by overestimating rather than underestimating. If you feel you are behind, don't worry. Now, some of you might be feeling reassured that you're doing better than you thought, while others might still feel behind even after adjusting your assumptions. If you find yourself behind in your retirement savings, don't lose hope. There's still plenty of time to get back on track. I've witnessed people in really bad situations and then they turn things around and retire comfortably. Start by getting a retirement projection done, create realistic savings goals, and then consider making adjustments to your expenses to free up more money for savings. This is the time to be proactive and save as much as possible to prepare for your retirement. Now, you may need to work a little bit longer or delay claiming Social Security benefits to help ensure a more secure income in retirement. But with some determination and some strategic planning, you too can take the steps towards a more financially secure future. For some of you, you might have to adjust your investment strategy towards portfolios offering higher expected rates of return. I often see individuals who fear they won't have enough for retirement, so they avoid risk altogether by placing their funds in low yield options like CDs. However, it's highly likely that these low returns will not sustain them throughout their retirement years, which could span 30 to 40 years. Consider reallocating your investments into portfolios to potentially achieve better returns over the long term. Additionally, you might explore creating additional income streams for your retirement years. This could involve taking on a part-time job, exploring online opportunities, teaching classes, or exploring various other options available to you. Finding alternative sources of income can provide added financial security during retirement. Here's the bottom line. Comparing your retirement savings to the national averages can offer a valuable perspective on your financial readiness. Understanding mean and median balances can help set realistic goals tailored to your situation. If you feel unprepared, you're not alone, and analyzing the data can provide some clarity and motivate you to take action. Adjust your strategy by exploring additional income streams that can help improve your financial security. Working with a portfolio manager can help you build a personalized retirement plan, likely setting you on the path to a more secure future. Did you know that navigating the uncertainties of the markets and your finances is generally smoother with the support of an investment advisor or portfolio manager? Studies have consistently shown that individuals who work with investment advisors and portfolio managers tend to have up to 3 times higher net worth on average than going it alone. But that's not all. There's a significant impact on overall well-being with those who seek professional advice, exhibiting higher levels of happiness and lower anxiety. Do you want to learn more about how to increase your Social Security or do a backdoor Roth conversion? Well, click here to watch more amazing financial strategies. We'll see you soon.